All right, let's make sure our Facebook friends, family, and everybody is up in here before we're officially going here. In Saturday, 5:21 at 5:20 my time. There we go. Boom, boom. Running a little late, guys. That's my fault. I told Luke and Chad earlier that we were maybe running a little late. Just coming back from a buddies of mine boat party, and the boat only goes so fast. So here we are, and good to be here. Welcome
boat
in.
only goes so fast.
Oh
I
man,
love it. I absolutely love it. Nick sent me this gif of this jet ski or this boat just absolutely hauling tail across the water. And I don't know, did you ever see Eastbound and Down?
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah, totally reminded me of Kenny Powers, right? With his jet ski on that. Absolutely great, guys. Be sure to check out Eastbound and Down. Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely amazing. You know what else is amazing? Hello, everybody. Saturday, Mile High Insiders. I don't know how much we can spill the beans on Saturdays for Mile High Insiders going on there, but welcome in 5:21 at 6:21 Mountain Time. And you got Dylan in the house. What's up, Dylan? Says, sup, Broncos country. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, Dale's in the house saying, evening, Nick, Luke, Dylan, and Scott. If he's here in the background tonight, Scott is here as well. We also have Jeff saying, topic tonight, I think they're going to go hand in hand. A good OC will attack the defense as a weakness. Absolutely. We'll get into that in just a second here. And my mic, I don't know how to turn up my mic on my end a little bit, but hopefully that can be.
No, you're just coming through just a little soft on my end, but
let me know too if I'm okay.
You're good. You're good. What's up, Paul? Appreciate you joining MHI, man. It's absolutely awesome to have Broncos country rocking with us. We've got a huge show tonight. We're going to talk offense. What is the Broncos offense going to look like? I think we got some revealing hints from Quinn Miners this week in the press conference, and his press conference quotes are certainly making the rounds. Yeah. But it's an exciting time, man. We're on the cusp of a new culture change, but a brand new offense as well. So before we get there, guys, this is MHI. We appreciate you joining us. We want to keep the shout outs going. Miller 707 champ coming in here. Thank you so much for joining us on your Saturday night. You've also got our good friend Kathy Lund. Good evening, fam. Hope everyone is well. It's so awesome to see folks in the stream just waiting, and they can't wait to get to talk about their Broncos, and they're going to be able to do that here on our Mile High Huddle live stream. Jeff Noyes is coming in fast and furious with a very generous $10 super chat, saying this is an interesting topic tonight regarding the Broncos 2022 offense. We know that Russell Wilson has got a cannon of an arm. We know that he is accurate. We know that he loves to throw the ball deep, but he also has had a lot of success running the ball with some guy named Marshawn Lynch. And Nick, I've been watching a lot of old Marshawn Lynch tape and trying to figure out how Russ liked to utilize the running back position very early in his career, because I think that can give us hints how a 9-time Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winning quarterback is ultimately going to want to use Javonte Williams, Mike Boone, and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun to figure out how all of that works, and a lot of questions for the Broncos this year with how the offense is all going to come together. But we're going to dig into it some tonight for sure. And hopefully, like you mentioned, you had a great article on Quinn Miners and a lot of his topics from his recent press conference there. So we'll get into that. And thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us. Also, Karen Haynes coming in here. Shout out to our Mile High Huddle ladies. Also saw Kathy was in the house. Karen comes in and says, we'll definitely see a variety of play calls that elicit a fairly happy medium, but I'm mostly excited to see it. Shermer just had no clue. It will be a nice change for sure. Yeah, I guess you can call me a Shermer. What's the word here? Not pacifist, but apologist, because like you're only ever as good as your quarterback. And same with Vic Fangio. Like he said it on his last press conference, like, well, why are we here where we've been the last 3 years? We had the worst quarterback in the division every single year we played football. And guess what happens when you have the worst quarterback? You're going to end up probably having the worst team. So that's where you've been. And hopefully the Broncos now, better coaching staff. Yes, hopefully all that. But with the better coach, with the better players, makes everybody else look better. I'm very much a believer that it's about the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's. I think Bill Belichick even said that the scheming and everything, that changes about the 10% of the game, which makes a big difference, the overall, but 90% is just how good of players you actually have.
Well, and you have to, it's all about game plans. Karen's exactly right. You have got to somehow figure out a game plan each week that is specific to your opponent. Now, I would argue in the AFC West, because you have these heavyweight hitters in Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and because Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow are over there, I'm going to include Derek Carr in that conversation. You need to run up some clock as well. yes, the Broncos are expected to have a very exciting defense, and we all can't wait. Nick, I know you've been chomping at the bit to see what this defense is going to look like ever since this whole staff was hired. But we just got to wait just a little bit longer. Training camp, we'll get a little more clues, but a defense's best friend is a running game where you have some control over the clock. And sometimes that's how the Broncos are going to be able to sneak through a couple of wins maybe they shouldn't get this season, but because they have that veteran leadership of Russell Wilson, maybe checking over to a run play or calling a run play, advocating for a run play in the red zone, ultimately gets the Broncos there. No one's going to argue with W's. That's the bottom line. So I absolutely love it. Michael Branquillo, he never argues with W's, always giving us W's over here at MHH, saying good evening, Broncos country. We appreciate you so much, Michael. It's awesome to know that Broncos country is all over, Nick, as we love to praise everybody. It's not a geographical location. It is a state of being.
Yeah, and absolutely big time coming in saying Jason Bolin, $15 over on YouTube. Great topic. Thank you, Jason. That's very nice. That's from Chad and Luke there. So shout out to them. Made a bold prediction on Twitter on this offense. 3 pass catchers over 1,000 yards, 2,007 yards from scrimmage for the running backs, 4,900 yards, 47 touchdowns for Russell Wilson, 4 players with 10 or more touchdowns. Thanks, Luke and Nick. MHI rocks. If the Broncos are doing that, then we're talking at least playoffs, if not more. But those are regular season stats. So that would be a playoff team this year. And God, I hope we can get that. That would be amazing. What a night and day difference that would be compared to what we've seen in Mile High over the last 6 seasons.
Jason's my guy. Absolutely love Jason. He's a good friend of mine. Thank you so much. Got to meet Jason for the first time with his family at Broncos training campus. I got to meet so many of you guys. Be sure to say hello as you're out there. You never know who you're going to see. Lots of old Broncos come back to camp and they sit on the hill. Yeah. But it's always nice to see Broncos country make the pilgrimage, especially with our kids. And Jason, thank you so much for the support, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you this summer.
And Cleet coming in saying Chad and Zach must go on boat parties before every single one of their shows. So I guess we're used to being on time, and I gave a little bit of a heads up, but still running a little late. Gary Leeds Palmer also saying I have a commitment, maybe another boat party going on. So I will catch you guys later, but wanted to stop by and show some love. Thank you so much, Gary. We appreciate you. Hope your commitment's fun. Hopefully it's a positive commitment. And you have a good weekend. Hopefully the weather's good. It's beautiful here. It's one of the most beautiful days we've had all year out here in Seattle. So
we got dumped on, Nick. We got dumped on.
I heard,
yesterday,
I saw.
Dude. I woke up to 8 inches of snow. There were tree branches broken, all that stuff. We were good because it got all that stuff taken care of. But yeah, man, it was one of the latest snowstorms I've ever experienced in my life here, being a Colorado native. But we needed it because the state is always on fire and so dry. So that's absolutely cool. And yeah, Nick, just to echo your point, happy graduation to a lot of folks out there, whether that be college, high school, kindergarten, middle school continuation. It's really cool to see kids start to celebrate those things. I know we've got some high school graduates on our street, but it's cool to see kids and people getting together again, Nick, and starting to really celebrate those accomplishments. So if you know a grad or wedding, it's wedding season, right?
Yes, it is.
It's a really cool time of the year. And football's right around the corner. So things are really lining up very well here for Broncos country.
Yeah. Also, we got Travis coming in saying good evening, Luke, Nick, and Scott and Broncos country. Hope everyone's having a great day. Thank you so much. Dale's in the house too. Good to see you, Dale. Ernie Mays is in the house. Miller 707 coming in saying, I really feel people are sleeping on Javonte Williams. Not in Broncos country, but maybe nationally we can get into that. He is my breakout player for the Broncos. He's going to run all over the opposition because the focus will be elsewhere. He is too talented. So this is maybe a good conversation, a good leeway into our main topic here today, where are the Broncos going to be more of a run-centric or pass-centric team this season? And let me tell you, if the Broncos last year, we can just get into the data here. The Broncos last year faced a higher rate of defenders in the box than any other team in football offensively. So this season with Russell Wilson coming over, teams are going to respect the pass a little bit more. That means Javonte Williams should be able to run ragged. The question is he going to have the volume of carries where he is running ragged? Last year the Broncos trying to control the clock, definitely are more of a 50-50 split team. Does that change this year with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett coming to town? The split of carries to passing attempts.
Yeah, I think it's going to change a little bit because I think in Green Bay you saw Nathaniel Hackett, and I know he wasn't the head coach, but at least he had his fingerprints on an offense that loved to use 3 running backs, not just 2, not just 1, and they've got amazing running backs out there in Green Bay. So don't sleep on Mike Boone for me. I hear the Javonte Williams thing. I'm no fan of Melvin Gordon. I've made that known, but Mike Boone for me is a sleeper. I don't think Javonte Williams is. I could see an offense if I'm just going to go out here without looking at the data and say Russell Wilson likes to take deep shots. Okay, Russell Wilson takes a deep shot. Then what? Broncos are a little bit closer to the red zone. Do you still want to throw? Do you still want to wheel and deal? Because you certainly can. You just drafted a Greg Dolcich out of UCLA. You've got some guy named Albert O who's pretty dang tall and athletic. Oh, and by the way, Eric Saubert is back in the house, and I know I'm missing one tight end. Is it Tomlinson?
Yep, Eric Tomlinson.
Yep. So you've got options outside of the wide receiver position, and you really need some of those big bodies in the red zone. Now, if you don't want to run the ball, let's look at what kind of package we're going to sit out there anyway. You want your big wide receivers that are known for blocking in Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. Maybe you stick those guys in the red zone a little bit as well, because the defenses have to plan for not only the pass, but how are our little defensive backs and safeties going to overcome for some of these Broncos big wide receivers that are very fundamentally coached by Coach Zach Azzani to block their ass off. And Quinn Miners talked about it last week, saying we've got to block and block and block until the play is absolutely over. We know that Russell Wilson can extend things, but it was very telling to me that Quinn Miners wouldn't commit on not only what position he was going to be looking at for this season, but he talked about running the ball almost the entire press conference through 6-7 questions.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, running the football is going to be important for the Broncos this year, and you have to be good enough running the football that opposing defenses have to respect it personnel-wise and scheme-wise with the run fits and everything, the type of coverages they are using. So Rodney coming in here too, saying, good evening, Nick and Luke in Broncos country. Hope all is well. Can't wait for Broncos football. Go Denver. Yeah, I'm really excited. Gosh, what are we? 3 months now until the season kicks off or something like that. It's right around the corner. Got my week 1 tickets here. So if you guys are coming out to Seattle to buy, which I think is the most expensive tickets that are for sale right now in all of the NFL, that week 1 Monday night game in Seattle, come say hello, because I will be there.
Are you going, man? That's awesome. Good for you, dude.
Yeah,
that's going to be sweet. I was thinking about you today because anytime Drew Lock pops up, I'm going to think of you, right? The original haters, the show, MHI.
Oh, gosh.
But
people say so.
They were saying, was it a New York Post tweet that was saying like Geno Smith in the lead for lackluster quarterback or whatever? And I'm like, oh man, Nick is just being bombarded with this stuff, and he's heard it for years and he can't get away from it. And that's cool. You're going to the game, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Be sure to reach out. I know we got Broncos country out there in Seattle too. So if you're going to that first Seahawks game, get at Nick Kendell, at Nick Kendell MHH on Twitter. Absolutely. You can get at me, yours truly, at Luke Patterson LP. I'll be out there at training camp every day, sweating. It's going to be fun this year, though, man. I'm already talking to some Broncos fans on Twitter, on Facebook, and they're like, dude, we're planning to get there at 4 a.m. and camp out for the morning, maybe even the night if they'll let us beforehand. Broncos country is going to be jam-packed this summer. Forget the water parks, forget the reservoirs, forget the lakes, the boats. All eyes are going to be on Russell Wilson and the new Broncos offense at UCL Training Center this summer.
Yeah, and we'll get to Peter's comment here in a second. But if you guys are going to be like Luke, joining him out there in Dove Valley to watch the Broncos camp, or joining me week 1, make sure you head on first over to huddleuppod.com to check out the gear there. If you're going to be sitting out there watching Broncos practice, you're going to want to make sure that wear your sunscreen. We say melanoma in this podcast. Absolutely no. I worked at otolaryngology for a while, and let me tell you, you do not want to mess with skin cancer. Oh my gosh. But huddleuppod.com, get your gear, get your hats, protect yourself from the sun, anti-aging too, with the wrinkles too. So make sure you're checking out the gears there. We have stuff for MHI. We got Broncos for Breakfast hat here. We got the Building the Broncos hat here also. So
making it rain. Making it rain MHH gear. I absolutely love it. Dripping in swag. No, and it's cool too because look, we got a lot of parents here on this publication, these podcasts and stuff like that. You get some for your baby or baby gift, shower, coffee mug. You guys are rocking Broncos for breakfast. I got my guy too. I know you've seen it. Thomas Hall out there putting in some serious work. Thomas Hall writes some really good articles for us at milehighhuddle.com, and you can find those over there. But he has started a new podcast every Friday morning called The Legends of Mile High, and you'll actually get to check me out with Thomas next Saturday, as Thomas will be my special guest co-hosting. So be sure to head on over to @ThomasHallNFL and give our guy a follow there as well, because Thomas is one of the most knowledgeable, I think, men I've ever spoke with, let alone football minds or anything like that. He's a numbers guy, and just an absolute gem of a person. So be sure to give him a shout out as well. Here we go, Pete. You've waited. I'm going to ask it. Which areas of the offense will we rate highly? Any positive or negative surprises? Well, for me, I'm going right off the bat. Running backs. You are absolutely stacked. Javonte Williams does not have a lot of wear on those tires. This guy, I think Pro Football Focus, the draft Twitter handle or whatever, already put Javonte Williams out there, an image of him getting ready to go wild in year 2, promoting the season. People know about Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
The league knows about Javonte Williams. You saw teams in this draft try to find the next Javonte Williams, but second round Javonte Williams didn't come around this year. I absolutely love this kid. I also look, again, I'm gonna talk about it. It's not sexy. The blocking of Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton as big-bodied wide receivers. When you've got 10 personnel, 11 personnel, when you don't need to go big-bodied 12 personnel with multiple tight ends or even fullbacks. I don't know what that means for Andrew Beck and guys like that making the team, but I absolutely love the versatility that you can do just from a ground and pound nature.
Yeah, for the ground and pound nature, I agree with you. And we talked about it. I hinted at it earlier. The Broncos last year had the single worst rate of defensive players in the box. I guess for a passing perspective, that's a good thing, because you want to have less guys. You want more guys in the box. That way you can hit them over the top. But with Russell Wilson, I'm guessing you're going to see a big shift there with less guys in the box, more space to get those medium chunk yards. But the big issue for me there, and to talk about negative surprises, maybe this isn't so much a negative surprise, but I think a big onus this season is going to be on the interior offensive line trio. And we talked about Quinn Miners. I'm excited to see what he can do this year, but he's still a question mark for me. I mean, his pass protection is hit or miss. So even some of his run blocking now, sustaining the blocks, are sometimes erratic last year on tape. Lloyd Cushenberry, bottom 5, bottom 10 center. And I don't think Dalton Reisner's spot is a given either. I think Dalton's going to have to battle with Tom Compton, with Graham Glasgow for that left guard spot. So maybe not so much a negative surprise, but an area on this offense that could be make or break for how good they can be is how good specifically the interior offensive line trio is. And I know we're all talking right tackle. We have been for years, but the interior offensive line last year was not good enough as run blockers. And this season they should have more room to operate. But if they can be that much better, that could be the difference between a top 10 offense and a top 5 offense.
Now, Peter, I'm going to give you a negative answer real quick, because this is something that I heard actually a few days ago, verified it with multiple sources. So MHI exclusive. Watch that slot wide receiver position. That's something that people are trying to figure out, because Jerry Jeudy can definitely be utilized there, and so can KJ Hamler. But do not be surprised, folks, if you see KJ Hamler start the year off maybe a little bit slower. They're being very careful with him right now. Was told today that maybe he would not be starting right away. He's not going to be like immediately thrown into training camp, not because he's not ready, but because they really want to take things easy with KJ Hamler. They want to make sure that come business time, when they need him and it's the nitty gritty of the season and you are fighting in the best division of all of football, that they've got him. So do not be surprised if you see KJ Hamler eventually end up maybe on that pup list, maybe taking some training camp days off, things like that. Don't be alarmed. They're just kid gloves. I get it. KJ Hamler has definitely got to come onto the scene, and I think he will. He talked about that, 2 weeks ago, last week maybe, and I like it. There's no need to rush him. You've got a wide receiver room that's absolutely stacked.
100%. And Peter also says, great answer over on Facebook. So if you guys like the answers we're giving right now, just enjoying the content, the community, etc., make sure you're clicking the thumbs up over on Facebook and YouTube, and like and subscribing over there on YouTube. So coming back to the main question here of the show, what will this Broncos offense look like this season? I know a lot of the conversation surrounds the personnel, because again, I just said it earlier, it's about the Jimmies and Joes, not as much the X's and O's, but we are trying to craft together an offense right now with a lot of questionable pieces that are going to be together working with each other for the first time this season. So we can look back at Russell Wilson, we can look back what the Broncos have done, but I thought would be interesting here is what happened with Nathaniel Hackett's offense, Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers last year. What was their split like last season? Because obviously Aaron Rodgers coming off the back-to-back MVP season, that's a team that obviously wants to air it out because that's what a back-to-back MVP team looks like. And I've seen some people in Broncos country throw out numbers like, oh, the Broncos are going to throw it 60, 65% of the time. And wow, okay, maybe some games that kind of works out that way. But last year, the Packers, with a team that's coming off back-to-back MVPs, what do you think the split was for the Packers last year? Luke, do you have any idea?
I have not looked at it. If I'm guessing, so we're just talking about what run to pass percentage, like 60, 50, 50, 60, 40, things like that.
Yep.
I would say that it was probably, let's go. Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. Now I'm starting to get a little nervous. I'm going to go 60. Yeah, 64. Let's go 60-40 pass.
57, pretty much 60-40. So 57 pass to 43 run. So a little bit more on the run game. They like to use, even this is also, I think, an important caveat as well. The Packers use the running backs a lot in the pass game, which I think is an extension of the run game also. So I think it's even closer as far as if you want to look at
real quick. Let's go back to that because I think that's extremely important. What you just said there and say it again. The running back, the game of the running back and the utilization of a running back is important in the passing game. Why do you feel that is important in the 2022 offense?
For the Broncos specifically, I don't think you're going to see as many short middle of the field passes. It's going to be a lot of home run to check down options. And the check down is a way for Russell Wilson to, even if it's an outlet pass, it's a way to get positive yards outside of a play rather than just killing it. So you have some players also in Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams who are great in space. And even if they're not running complex Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara type of routes out of the backfield, you get those guys the ball and just give them a chance. Sometimes they might take a lost play where the defense did everything right and make it flipped on its head and you get 10, 15 yards and a first down. So I would expect these running backs to be a big part of the big part of the pass game. And even if the split is closer to, let's say 60-40, I might even argue that it's closer to 55-45 because a lot of those passing yards are going to be worked through the running backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't realize that Javonte Williams can catch the ball, Nick. It's something that I try to remind folks. He can do it. And he's not a polished route runner. No, I'm not saying that. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he can catch the ball. So if you can get this cat on a swing route, Russell Wilson's smart enough to not only one, identify the blitz, but two, call the offensive line slide. And he tests these guys every week all about it. I'm just envisioning right now a shotgun sets, Javonte Williams sitting back there as a pass pro running back, Russell Wilson, slide protection to the left. Well, that frees Javonte Williams up immediately. If he doesn't see a second individual blitzer coming into that offensive line, well, there's a halfback swing route you could do. You could run a Texas route, all sort of little things. And like you said, that's that potential check down option because Russ is looking deep. That deep connection is there, folks. We see it all over social media. But Russell Wilson's going to take what the defense gives him. For the love of God, we just saw him watching the best film with Peyton Manning. I mean, if you're the hairs on your arm and back of your neck didn't go up watching that, check your pulse because that was absolutely wicked to sit there and watching Mr. Unlimited. I see you, Kathy. I'm going to get in there. Mr. Unlimited and the Sheriff going through that. Peyton Manning used to always, what'd he say, Nick? You don't go broke taking a profit. And he understood that in the latter years of his career. Russell Wilson's not even in those latter years of his career yet. So watch out, man, because Melvin Gordon, he can catch the ball. Can he hang on to it? That's another question. Mike Boone, he can catch the ball. So expect these running backs to have some responsibility in the passing game as well.
Yeah, 100%. We'll circle back to that in a second. But first, Kathy coming in saying, Tim Patrick was such a stud last year with Shermer and Locke. This year's potential is unlimited, as say it, Luke. He did.
Unlimited.
100%. It's going to be great. I do want to see Tim Patrick last year. We give Tim Patrick a lot of credit for his tough catch ability and also his blocking. But last year, I thought it took a dip a little bit. He had, I think, 3 drop passes last season, more than Jerry Jeudy did last year as well. And also, I thought his run or his blocking in general took a step back. Now, some of that might be because the offense was not very good, just kind of things kind of falling apart, et cetera, et cetera. But hopefully this year will be a little bit better for Tim Patrick. Not that it was bad last year, but I think it's kind of a little bit maybe not eye roll inducing, but like Jerry Jeudy catches a lot of flack for dropping footballs when Tim Patrick dropped a lot last year. It really goes to show how much, first impressions and draft status goes to the onus of what people think about you as a player. But hopefully it'll be better there in this year because the data last year was not as good.
I like it, Nick. Yeah, these guys
Yeah.
can improve.
Yep.
Absolutely. And just because we all love Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, all these guys doesn't mean they can't improve. We've got to be critical of their game as well. Otherwise, tune into another station. You're not going to get that here. I
No.
agree. There at times the drops I think have been forgotten with Tim Patrick, even by me. So now that you're reminding me, it's absolutely that's got to be there. Just like our guy Andrew Baker. He's always there. Always there for us here on MHI. What's up, Andrew? Hope you're doing well, baby. He's got that Javonte Williams Pookie jersey. He's knowing big things are coming from Big Pookie. What's up, MHI? What's up, Broncos country? Nick, who is going to be or should be Russell Wilson's go-to guy? I also think that Alberto and Weird Al Yank Dolcich should end the Russ narrative of not using tight end. My guy, Andrew Baker. I love it. This is a good, excellent conversation, Nick. Let's get into it. First, let's leave this up for just a second, if we could, Scott. Who's going to be Russell Wilson's go-to guy, or who do you think should be the go-to guy?
I think as far as play style and physical ability, your best wide receiver should be the go-to guy. And this isn't just Russell Wilson. This is also Nathaniel Hackett with the Packers last year, making Devontae Adams by far the go-to guy in that offense. And I think that's Cortland Sutton for this offense. I think Cortland Sutton's the best deep threat on the team. I think he's the best guy in contested catch situations. I think he's going to be the toughest over the middle of the field. So I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton as far as being the go-to guy. And as far as the narrative of a tight end, being not as used by Russell Wilson. Some of that is because, the best guys he was throwing to were Nick Vannett and Will Dissly recently in his career. Some of it is where he attacks the field, but I'm curious if by the end of the year, because we're talking right now, is Baron Browning going to be in stack linebacker or is he going to be an edge rusher? Another guy that's kind of inside. I mean,
I'm hoping. You got to give me hope, Nick. I'm just saying I'm hoping. I don't know, obviously, because George Payton has got things locked down over there, but I'm hoping, man. You're right.
I think it's both, but the guy here that I'm curious about his role this season is Alberto Coebenam. And the reason for that is the Packers last year used a tight end wide receiver hybrid by the name of Alan Lazard, who really not a good blocker, not an inline player, but used a lot as essentially what is known as an F tight end, detached, a big slot player. And I think that is where Alberto Coebenam is going to find himself this season in this offense. Maybe it's a little bit of a niche role, maybe somewhat of a gadget player, not the Isaiah McKenzie gadget, but there'll be a niche role for him. But I think it's going to be more so detached from the line of scrimmage as a big slot, more so than an actual tight end, based on what I'm hearing and also just trying to picture what the Packers offense done and how it pertains to its Broncos offense. Alan Lazard's I think the best comparison for what they've used with a player of Alberto Coebenam's skill set.
That's interesting. I like that a lot. I hadn't really considered that. That would allow you to utilize the different types of tight ends in your room a little bit more. I really like Eric Saubert, man. He was one of my superstars last year in training camp. I had no idea who he was until I saw him last year. This guy can catch the ball and be a serviceable tight end. He's not going to be a playmaker like Alberto. But Greg Dolcich, man, I think this guy is coming. I think he's going to burst onto the scene. Talked to Carl about it last week on MHI and just said, can't you just feel or just, I don't know, there's this energy about this young man. I can see him being a superstar in this league. And when he's saying, I'm willing to block, I'm willing to do the dirty things, I'm looking at Alberto like, well, we know that you've really struggled in blocking. That's not to say Greg Dolcich won't either, but he has a little bit more of a nastiness to him, in my opinion, just personality wise. I have yet to see him down there or anything like that, but he's got a little bit more of that alpha dog to him. So I'm looking at the tight end position like, man, I think they may have themselves something here with this UCLA cat, but we've got to see. Nick, as you know, it's a huge transition from college over to the NFL. And heck, these guys are sucking wind right now. I'm trying to get used to altitude and just start talking about some of those differences. For me, I would go Tim Patrick as my go-to guy for Russell Wilson, just because he's the blue collar, show up with his lunch pail and his construction boots, ready to work every day. Is he going to make some mistakes? You bet. But is he going to be there for you to lean on? Always. I don't think he's a playmaking wide receiver that you're going to be seeing top 10 videos on Sports Center of. He doesn't really like to talk. I know he sometimes gives some really funny answers and things like that. He's not a flashy guy, but Tim Patrick, man, he's just reliable. He's like that bad penny. You just can't get away, but there's nothing wrong with money, and you got some money with Tim Patrick.
Yeah, 100%. Tim Patrick will be fun this year. I'm excited for all the pass catchers. I mean, gosh, it's however it breaks out. It might be just who's healthy and what makes sense scheme wise week to week. If there's a weakness, the Broncos have enough weapons right now where in theory, it doesn't just have to be, this is our guy, we go to him. It's what is the opposing team weakest at? Oh, it's your slot cornerback. We're going to attack there this week. Oh, it's your boundary cornerback. We're going to attack there this week. So a lot of that is going to depend on how good Justin Outen and Nathaniel Hackett are at their jobs as well. And the offensive line, make sure they're clicking. I mean, they can't finish as a bottom 10 unit this year. They need to finish closer to middle of the pack or better. But in theory, on paper, the Broncos should be able to do that and attack weaknesses. So that should be good. Peter coming in, making sure, helping us out here, attacking our weaknesses, saying, would you guys trust Judy or Patrick as a go-to guy? Great wide receiver, 2 options, but not wide receiver 1 yet.
Good.
Trust, yes. They're the guys you have. They're your playmakers, and you got to put them in situations where they can or make them prove you wrong for trusting them, right? I think it's kind of a clean slate for a lot of these guys coming in here. You got a new coaching staff, a new quarterback. We're going to go in and trust you, but when you give us reasons not to trust you, that's when we'll pull back. So right now, yes, we trust them. And we also got Travis coming in here talking about Judy and pertaining to trust as well, saying not knocking Judy, but asked this question last night with Judy's attitude, with his cryptic messages on media and whatnot with the incident with his girlfriend. Based on his character, do we see him possibly being expendable? From what I was gathering before even all this stuff came out this year, that Judy seemed like to be a guy that if anybody was on the outside looking in based on a trade, more so next offseason than this offseason, it probably was Judy, based on where the contracts are set up, based on the style of play, et cetera, based on his struggles blocking from the slot as well, which is going to be a big part of this offense from what I can gather. So he seemed like the one that was the most likely out. And then you have all these other incidents, the cryptic tweets, other stuff behind the scenes I've heard as well. So we're gonna have to watch out for that with Judy. Every single player is somewhat expendable, right? Like there's a price for everybody. So hopefully he figures it all out and is better this year, and pulling for him. But right now things are a little bit disappointing for Judy right now. But guess what? He's gonna have a chance to turn it around. His story is far from written. So if anybody thinks this is negative and pooping on Judy, this is a positive. He has all the power in the world right now to make this a good story and a turnaround, and this be his lowest point and all sunshine and rainbows from here.
Yeah, his story, it's continuing to be written. It's not over, but the first couple chapters have been pretty shitty, if we're going to be honest. I mean, it's been overwhelming, or underwhelming rather. Here's what I'm going to say. Carl and I talked about it last week because it's our responsibility, right, to talk about the news, Jerry Judy and stuff like that. The one thing I'll say about that, I'm very pleased that there was no violence, especially when there's a baby or a kid involved.
Yes.
Is it a messy? Is it a mess? Is it horrible? Yeah. Do I want it? No. But
a bad look.
Was anyone hurt? No. So I'm willing to look past that. Nick, I did so much stupid crap when I was a kid, man. And thank goodness I'm not a high profile wide receiver like Jerry Judy, because some of those things probably would have come out. But here's what I'm going to say. And I don't mean this by disrespect or anything like that. But the previous question was, would you rather trust Tim Patrick or Jerry Judy? Right now, I'm trusting Tim Patrick because he's a proven commodity. He doesn't have the talent that Jerry Judy has, but he shouldn't be faulted for that. Jerry Judy, to me right now, feels like he has a lot of growing up to do. He's a father. I know that I did my most growing up when I became a father. Absolutely. My daughter changed my life, made me a better man, made me a better husband, and really made me evaluate my responsibility. So what's to say that couldn't happen with Jerry Judy? We just got to wait. Nick Lujan is weighing in real quick here. If I could pop that right up. If you want to be the best, you got to take out the best. Bring on the Chiefs. Hashtag let's ride. Yeah, bring on the Chiefs. That is absolutely right. My guy Jason Bolin, who commented earlier, is going to be behind enemy lines in Arrowhead with his family as he was last year for those Chiefs games. And Chiefs Kingdom is really quiet lately, Nick. I don't see a lot of chatter on Twitter or anything from them. I think the AFC West knows it's going down, but on Slack app behind the scenes, right? Zach Kelberman today said he was writing up an article and I don't remember who said it, but there was a former player that came out and said he picked the Broncos to finish dead last in the AFC West, which I thought was absolutely outrageous. But folks are really honed into this division, Nick. We're talking about the Broncos offense. That's why we're not even they're not talking about defensive players in the AFC West. Sure, there are pass rushers galore, but look at the receivers, look at the quarterbacks, look at the offensive minds. That is what is ultimately getting everybody buzzing.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. It's going to be a fun division this year. A lot of primetime games, and picking the Broncos last. I mean, I guess I won't fight anybody too hard if they want to pick the Broncos last. I think it's pretty obvious on paper that the Raiders are the worst team in the division. They have the worst offensive line. They have the worst secondary. They have the worst quarterback. I mean,
Rookie head
ding,
coach.
ding, ding. Yeah.
I shouldn't say rookie, but he's horrible, and he's retrying it again. So
yeah.
He's reborn. He's been reborn. He's no longer a Bill Belichick disciple or whatever. So it's a mess.
Yeah. It's just all those things. It's like, okay, well, what does Vegas say? Vegas has the Raiders as the worst team. Okay, you just want to be hot taking. You want to crap on Wilson for this soundbite. Good for you. Have a good day. I'm not taking you seriously. I'm not getting too upset about it.
So
He
KJ
says,
Wright
upset.
said that, by the way, too. It was I'm looking at it real quick from Zach. He said KJ Wright predicts the Denver Broncos will finish last in the AFC West. KJ Wright, you were so wrong. You're so wrong, and how dare you? Didn't I
mean,
I don't see it.
Him and Nick Wright just got to share the last name with their amount of wrongness right now. Just related in terrible football takes. It's whatever. It's whatever. The Knicks don't claim Nick Wright. Nick wrong, more like it. But Raiders obviously the worst team in the division.
Kathy was all over it, man, like she always is. Yeah, dude, I agree, man. The Raiders are they got to figure it out. They think just because Devontae Adams is here that all their problems are solved. And I don't know about that, man. But quarterbacks, Russell Wilson is obviously the biggest reason with this offense. But we know he likes to air it out, Nick. But don't be surprised to see the checkdowns. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, I think there's the connotation that when he was bumping heads with Seattle and not feeling like he was included or being valued in the decisions of not only the franchise, but specifically the offensive direction of things, I think people sometimes wonder, well, does that mean he just doesn't want to run the ball? He doesn't want to use Rashard Penny. He doesn't want to use these running backs or anything. No, I don't think that's it. How are we using these running backs? Are we using predictable schemes that teams have already planned for? I mean, I think Russell Wilson understands the significance of the running back position. He's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, for crying out loud. All of them understand the position of running back and what they can ultimately utilize that running back position for. Think about it. Pass protection, catching, and running the ball. That is an extremely important position that Russell Wilson will definitely utilize.
You're 100% correct in that. And also last year, I'm talking about the Broncos. Maybe what is the run split going to be this season? Well, let's say it's 55-45, 60-40. Even then, they're probably going to use the running backs a good bit in the pass game. Now, this is not a 1-for-1 because everybody knows the Packers pass catchers last year outside of Devontae Adams were not very good on paper. I mean, we'll see how Valdez-Scantling does and Allen Lazard and all that stuff this season, how the dynamics have changed there in Green Bay and Valdez-Scantling there in Kansas City. But the number 2, as far as receptions go last year, receiver for the Packers offense, for the entire offense last year, receptions-wise, Aaron Jones, 52 catches. Number 4 receiver for the Packers last year. Their second running back, A.J. Dillon, 34 receptions. Allen Lazard had 40. Randall Cobb at 28. Marquez Valdez-Scantling only 26. So even if the split this season for the Broncos pass game is closer to 60-40, when the touches are put out between running back to tight end / wide receiver, it really might be closer to 50-50. Now, what's the offense going to look like with how the Packers utilized so much RPO and quick outs and speed and glances last season? We will see what that looks like for the Broncos with Russell Wilson. I don't think it can be a 1-for-1 given how much the Packers offense relied on that dagger route, which Russell Wilson has not thrown very much in his entire career. Some of that might be due to his height. We're fixing to find out how it looks. But either way, let's say the split is 60-40. I think it's intellectually speaking or academically speaking, it's going to be closer to 50-50 because of how much the running backs are going to be also used as a dump off option in the home run to check down kind of offense with Russell Wilson.
Here's what I'm also hearing, talking about KJ Hamler. I'm also hearing there are funky little packages for different players, different receivers.
Brought to you by Manscaped.
Shocking, right? Absolutely. Yeah, funny little packages. No, expect it. You're seeing it in the league. You're seeing wide receivers like Deebo Samuel. No, KJ Hamler's not Deebo Samuel. Let's just get that out of the way. You're seeing guys being utilized out of the backfield, and it's not just through reverses anymore. It's not just through jet sweeps. Look at Kyle Shanahan and what he's doing right now. Is he's flipping the game on its head, putting wide receivers back there at the running back position, and it's working consistently. So don't be surprised if you see some of those things. But I want to get to EJ here saying, Nick and Luke, who do you think will be the Broncos starting center against Seattle? Cush or Glasgow? I'd prefer Glasgow. Question mark. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I think Graham Glasgow is going to be a camp casualty in this training camp. I think that his injury history, some of that expense, he'll get picked up right away. Make no mistake about it. But I don't know. I have a real issue with Graham Glasgow. While he's been versatile, and yes, he played center in Detroit, 3 years ago now? That doesn't make him a professional center. Does it make him a competent center? Maybe. But Lloyd Cushenberry, there have obviously been problems there. I think there should be some competition, but Quinn Miners would not commit last week, Nick, when they asked what position are you expecting to play, something along those lines. And he said, I really don't want to get into that right now. I'm just trying to improve and be the best player I am. My ears perked up. And I'm thinking, you're not only trying to get reps at guard, you're probably getting some reps at center as well. Does that mean Quinn Miners is your starting center? I don't know. He definitely got reps at it last training camp, and then they moved him over to guard. I like him at guard a lot. I would like him to settle down there, but I think you're going to see Lloyd Cushenberry ultimately start week 1 in Seattle.
I think it's going to be Cushenberry as well. I think the Broncos, depending on how the draft would have played out, probably would have been okay upgrading the position and bringing in some competition for Cushenberry, but it didn't play out that way. Instead, the Broncos got a pass rusher and a tight end rather than like if Cam Jurgens, who I think went to the Eagles there in the middle of the second round, if he fell to pick 64, I'm thinking he's your starting center right now, and Nick Benito is not on this team. But
and I'd be okay with I'd have been all right with that, to be honest with you. Like, and
absolutely.
I'm not trying to hate on Nick Benito, who was blocked half of our staff, by the way.
It's fine. If that makes him feel like he has more control over his world and everything like that.
Clearly, Nick was blocked and I was not. We joked about that behind the scenes, and it happens, right? And if it makes you feel better, Nick, Woody won't give me any love. And I asked a few of my guys in the radio business about it. I'm like, why won't Woody give me any love? I asked Dan Jacobs actually. And he goes, I asked Woody, and Woody said if he could, he would block you 7 times over. And I'm like, Woody, I love you, Woody. You're my guy. But yeah, Cush, the improvements, they've got to be there. And Quinn Miners also talked about Butch Berry, our new offensive line coach, right? And he came over, had spent some time with the Vikings, had spent some time with the Niners, or not the Vikings, the Packers, and spent some time with the Niners. He's got a bunch of coaching experience. This is his first offensive line head coach, or not head coach, but his first offensive line coaching gig where he is the guy. He's no longer an assistant. Miners said he's intense, man. He'll get after you. I don't know if he has any Bill Kolar to him, but I don't expect Butch Berry to be okay with Lloyd Cushenberry just getting boat raced in pass protection or just getting thrown around. I don't see that working. So if Butch Berry says Cush is the guy, I think you got to give him a little time.
And it's definitely a position that there could be some competition there. I heard that originally they were all set on Quinn Miners being right guard, but if camp works out a certain way and Miners looks competent there at center, and let's say Cushenberry has not stepped forward at all, and they'd rather get Compton there, or let's say Glasgow right guard, or shift it around, then that's definitely a possibility. I think
Moody in the competition, because I would think if that's the case, so. Was it Carl that said maybe Compton at center a couple weeks ago on Twitter? Did I see that?
I don't remember Carl saying that. I think they'd rather have Compton at guard. I think your center options are Cushenberry, Glasgow, and Miners before Compton at left guard. Maybe right guard, but it sounds like left guard for Compton. But we'll see. I mean, gosh, so you have a lot of versatility there. The only guy that I feel competent putting him in a single spot is Garrett Bowles. So the offensive line rotation and competition is going to be a lot of fun this year. And I know that a lot of people, given he's been starting for 3 years now, local kid, got a lot of hype coming out of the draft because he was a pretty well-known guy as well. But I think Dalton Reisner with his play last year was okay, but not good enough where he is cemented either. I think he's going to have to earn his spot at left guard this year. So will be fun to see how that works. A lot of competition. Just because we don't know who's going to play doesn't mean the offensive line is going to be bad. Just need to see how it all shakes out.
And I can't figure it out with Cush, and it
Yeah.
bothers me.
Yeah.
I think that it bothers him. He came out last year in training camp and said, "Look, dude, as a rookie, stuff wasn't big enough. It wasn't good enough. I went in the weight room. I got bigger. Looked great physically. He's very smart. It seems like a good guy, but I can't figure it out with him. Maybe he's a late bloomer, so to speak, in the NFL, and maybe this year 3 and maybe a competent quarterback is what a starting center needs in the NFL. I can't believe I just said that. But it doesn't really feel to me like the game is the X's and O's of the game at the center position are over Lloyd Cushenberry's head. I think he's totally with it, so much so that I can tell you he was calling out the defenses for Drew Lock as a rookie. So there we go. But here we go. Speaking of that guy, Miller 707 champ coming in. What's up, man? Thank you so much for joining MHI with Nick, Scott, and I. Who do you see as Seattle's starting quarterback against Denver? I feel there is no way they won't give Locke the opportunity to beat his old team, and you know he is gunning for it. Nick, you'll be there. Do you expect to see Drew Lock as QB1 for the Seattle Seahawks?
I don't. I think it'll be
Say it a little louder for the people in the back. I absolutely love it, man, especially because it's an honest answer. Go for it. Tell us why.
I mean, Drew Lock is a guy who plays very emotional football, which can be a good thing, but sometimes can be a bad thing as well. It sounds like Geno Smith is leading right now and also talking about he's going to be gunning for his old team. I don't think anybody in that Seattle locker room or the coaching staff is going to give a flying you-know-what about the narrative about Drew Lock taking it his own team. They care about winning the football game. And guess what? The guys in the locker room are going to know in training camp probably which quarterback is the better one. And so narrative or not, they're going to want the best guy to play. And it sounds like right now, Geno Smith is leading the charge there as the number one quarterback. So do I expect it for Drew Lock to be the starter? No, I think it'll be Geno Smith. Could it happen? For sure. Neither of these quarterbacks have put out anything close to being good enough to be a for sure starting quarterback in the NFL right now. So that's where they are. It's kind of the same position the Broncos have been at for a number of years. So do not expect Drew Lock week 1. Will I be surprised? No, but I'd be equally unsurprised if he didn't start at all next year because Geno Smith was the starter.
I love it, Miller. Absolutely love it because I think you hit on something there, and I'm going to respectfully disagree, Nick. I think he will start, not because he should, but because Pete Carroll is just he's dug in, man, about this divorce from Russell Wilson, right? It's back in the day when you broke up with your girlfriend or your girlfriend broke up with you, right? And she was awesome, and you're still hung up over her, so you go date another girl to try to make her feel jealous, and that other girl, she's not doing it for you. She doesn't have your heart. It's still the old Bay. You're a little spurned, and you're trying to stick it to Bay. That's what the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll are doing. I absolutely think Miller's right. You're going to see Drew Lock, if not for the revenge factor, the TV factor. This is a huge game. Let's not forget Russell Wilson coming back home, right, to Seattle. And I can't wait to see the boos or what they're going to do to him there because, I feel like half of the fan base is still like, we're hurt, but we love you. The other half is like, man, he's a cornflake. So I'm excited to see how it's going to go either way. Here's a good question coming from Pete. Does Wattenberg have any chance to get in the center position?
I think you see Wattenberg this year, something went horribly wrong. That's what it probably, I mean, it means the guys, it means more so, I think, probably about the guys in front of him struggling or injuries happening, which knock on wood, than anything. I think Wattenberg does have a long-term chance, but center is a position where typically you see 1 to 2 years. And the Matt Paradis method, he was on practice squad year 1 and then started halfway through second year, something like that. So I think
J.D. Walton before him too.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Heck, Conor McGovern, another one there for the Broncos at center practice squad early on. So I think the ideal role here for Wattenberg this year is he's either practice squad. Maybe they want to keep not hide him, but keep him on the roster because they traded up for him. They obviously like him enough and thought somebody else was gunning for him to move up and get him. So maybe they have him as your Austin Schlottman role this season where he's your rotational across all 3 interior spots. And then more likely starting for a chance to start in 2023. Could it happen? For sure. A lot of these guys, like we said, come in with a clean slate. If he comes in and takes it, then God bless. The center spot is there. So if he takes it, that's amazing. But I think that realistic expectations wise, we won't see him this year. And if we do see him, probably means something went wrong.
Completely agree. Andrew Baker, what's up, man? Our guy coming back in. Andrew Baker's been spitting fire tonight on MHI. Definitely having Peyton Manning vibes with Russell Wilson, but at the end of Manning's career, his genius football brain is what carried him through. So, does Russ have that brain, and will he be able to audible any play? Absolutely, Russell Wilson has the brain. I'm not gonna so much I'm not going to go down the road of like who's more football savvy, Russell Wilson or Peyton Manning. I'm not sure anyone would ever answer that question. It's kind of a trick question, just like our show, or the topic of our show, right? What's the Broncos offense going to be? Is it run heavy or is it pass heavy? Trick question, because you're probably going to get some of both. There's no right or wrong answer. I think you're going to see Russell Wilson have the freedom and autonomy to do a lot of audibles, to do what he feels is best. I think Nathaniel Hackett is very much about delegating. I think Justin Outen is going to rely on Russell Wilson's veteran leadership and knowledge based off of his NFL success, because Justin Outen, he was just coaching high school not too long ago, Nick. So he's been thrust into a very important role very early on. I think Russell Wilson's going to get the nod for sure, and the benefit of the doubt when it comes to checking down, changing the play, calling timeouts, you name it. He's the field general, and that's why his ass is here.
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to get into just about the spread of how this offense is going to look. But first, let's get into Howard T's super chat coming in here, $5. Thank you so much, Howard T. And if you
Thanks,
guys
Howard.
want to be like Howard, helping us support the show, keeping us going here, your super chats and whatnot really drive the show and keep it going. So we appreciate that, Howard, supporting us, supporting MHI, but also supporting the Huddle Up podcast in general. Coming in saying, I don't know if Hamler will stay healthy. He'll be used a lot better than previous years, and when he is on the field, he'll be a big weapon. I mean, be used a lot more than in previous years, but that's mainly not because of, I would say, coaching staff. I would say that's more because of durability issues. The reason he fell to the second round when he did, despite running reported, 4.2 something 40s, was because he had hamstring issues coming out. We didn't see him run. And then last year, was it week 3? He suffered the significant injury. His hip had to have hip surgery as well on top of that. So, hopefully we will see a better Hamler this season, partially because the quarterback's going to be better. The spacing will be better. He'll be in the third year in the league. He came out as a young player as well. I think he was one of the younger players in that entire draft class in 2020. But it's all going to come down to, can he stay healthy? And we just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Howard, I love it, because I think sometimes that gets forgotten a little bit. Jerry Jeudy gets criticism, rightfully so, but he's the first round pick. Huge difference, right, than the second round pick. But because of that, I think KJ Hamler is often the forgotten man in that wide receiver room. Huge personality. He definitely loves the camera, definitely loves the mic. His teammates love him, from everything I've heard, and he's just got that larger than life dynamic personality. But can you play football? Can you be on the field? And that's what Howard's wondering here. And I mean, it's like Brock Osweiler said, right? What did he say? Best availability, or best ability is availability. Yeah, that's totally true. It's corny. Make fun if you will, but KJ Hamler doesn't want to be hurt. I'm not knocking him for that. It just is what it is. And I think Howard's exactly right. You've definitely got to wonder with KJ Hamler what his role is going to be. I'm telling you, folks, I'm hearing whispers. There are already packages. They're trying to handle him with soft kid gloves and let those injuries, they're 100%, they're ready to go before they get him back into the game. And you guys should be okay with that, because your wide receiver room is stacked.
Yep. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. Thank you so much for the comment, Howard. We appreciate you, and for the support. Benjamin Flores also saying, what's up? What's up, Benjamin Flores? Hope you're doing pretty well.
Hey, Ben.
We also got Free Earth Citizen in the house here, rocking, saying Manning had limited mobility, so he needed to control everything on the field. Wilson's mobility renders a much more freewheeling creative style. Yeah, a lot of just ad hoc, ad lib type of play there with Russell Wilson. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people are curious about how Russell Wilson's going to age, because the players who are far more cerebral centric, not that Wilson's not cerebral, but you're talking about like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, like that's a different level than almost any quarterback we've ever seen as far as the 38-year-old plus style of play. We just haven't seen that for Wilson, and his style of play is going to have to change a tad, because right now a lot of his ability is on the broken play, getting outside the structure, explosive passes down the field, It's going to have to evolve. Multiple quarterbacks have had multiple iterations of evolutions. So we'll see that as well. I'm curious to see, again, talking about this offense with the RPOs and what Nathaniel Hackett's West Coast offense looks like. Can it meld with what Russell Wilson can do? Because something that's happened with Russell Wilson in his career to date is that every offense he's been in, they kind of have ideas of what they want to be with the shifting of coordinators. And it always tends to devolve back into this Russell Wilson as we said here, freewheeling, creative, ad lib style offense. Can we get away from that and be a little bit more key tenants with what Nathaniel Hackett wants to do? Don't know. Just don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah, and some of that, it makes me think of The Longest Yard, the remake with Adam Sandler, and they're playing the guards, and he's like, man, you remember that play we were doing in the yard in the mud? And Terry Cruz's character's like, man, that was just some schoolyard BS. He's like, yeah, let's try some schoolyard BS. Well, those plays, those broken plays, Russell Wilson makes that happen. I like Free Earth Citizen bringing this up because his height has something to do with it too. All right. Like, it is what it is. And Russell Wilson has proven himself, but man, you can't have these monsters up there, with the Broncos offensive line. And I saw the comment in there too. Someone said Graham Glasgow was too tall to be the center, and not at all. He would be an ideal center in terms of like physical traits and features with height and weight and stuff like that. But Russell likes to get out and make plays become extended. That's what he's got to do. But I love the fact that he studies pass rushers as well. That's something that's very, very unique to his game. I can't wait to see Garrett Bowles this year, man, because Garrett Bowles he's motivated. He's hungry. I see this whole new mature Garrett Bowles, and I think I like him now more than I ever have. I don't know if I expect him to have some great year of just his best year ever, but when he's saying, man, I'm coming in here to work, my job's not guaranteed, no one's going to touch Russ, it pissed him off that the rookie out of the Kansas City Chiefs, as soon as he gets drafted, he's saying, I can't wait to sack that little guy in Denver, which, we at Mile High Huddle, it was our responsibility, Nick, to make sure that Garrett Bowles saw that. And we all tagged Garrett Bowles in that. And he definitely had kind of given it a retweet like, yeah, all right, we're about to see. But Michael Ranquillo saying, great show tonight, guys. Luke, Nick, and Scott, let's ride and go Broncos. But Nick, as we start to kind of wind down the show, man, we don't know what this offense is going to look like. We're going to get hints at training camp, and then we'll think we're going to know. But coaches save all their dirty little secrets and their secret playbook from the water boy, that green playbook. They save that for the regular season. This game is about trends. It's going to take just a little bit for this offense to click, but I think you're going to see fireworks.
Hopefully so. Gosh, it's going to be real exciting. The season's obviously just right around the corner. Thank you, Michael, for joining us today. Also saying great show, Michael Ronquillo. We appreciate you. And guys, we're going to have to wrap it on up. Thank you for being patient with me hauling my butt on the boat there. Trying not to create any wake, but it was a good time today. Good day. I was
you weren't on a Minnesota Vikings boat or anything like that. That's causing trouble. God. So you're good to go, man. You're out there in nature. And that's another thing, guys, is spring and summer come up. Be sure to get out there. These podcasts are available wherever you usually get your podcasts, whether that be Apple, iTunes, Spotify, things like that. Take this podcast on a hike with you. Take it on the road. I know I listen, especially if I'm working or working out or anything like that. I love to just pop a podcast in from the Mile High Huddle crew, and then that way I can harass people over Slack or text or anything that I need to do. But be sure to get at all of us, guys, on Twitter. That's really cool. We love interacting with you guys because you're not only the people that make this whole ship run, but we consider you friends. It's absolutely awesome to meet you guys after years of talking, and we love this, man. We get to do what we do, and that's because of you guys. Get it, Nick, at Nick Kendell MHH, yours truly at Luke Patterson LP, and Nick, what do you got going on the rest of the weekend, man? I know the Avalanche are playing tonight. I'm not a hockey guy, so you can find me being that bitter guy saying I can't wait till hockey season's over. That's me right here. But the Avs, I guess, they've got things going in Utah. I think that series is at 1-1. Lots of excitement here in the Mile High City for hockey, but I'm sitting over here in the snow just waiting for football, baby.
Yeah, the Avalanche are playing the Blues right now, and I think it's 1-1, and the series is tied 1-1 as well. So that's a good game right now. Hopefully it'll go 7. I guess you can say I was raised a Blues fan, but I've probably watched about 15 minutes of hockey all season. So if you want to come yell at me, Nick, how could you cheer for the Blues? Quit screaming. I don't care that much. It's okay. I watch Olympics hockey once every 4 years. I'm about that. USA #1 on that one. But other than that, take it or leave it. If you enjoy your hockey, then God bless you. I always called it. My roommates loved it, and I'd be, frozen stickball. Good times. That would really tick them off. So I got some Go apps coming in here. Enjoy your frozen stickball. It's great. I watch too much football over here to have time to watch much other stuff, to be completely honest. So it is what it is. I'm gonna go do a hike tomorrow for one of my friend's birthday. Gonna be up nice and early. And I went and drove down to Portland and back last night and got home about 3 a.m. So I am tired. I'm probably gonna go ready up and it's been a long day.
Ready to catch some Z's. Yeah, guys, we've got some very exciting news coming up for MHI. So you guys be sure to stay tuned for that over the next week or two. Nick is going to be off next week because it's that time of year after the draft where we try to just take a couple days with our friends, couple days with our families, try to just reset before training camp gets here. But Thomas Hall is going to be joining me. Please follow our good friend Thomas at Thomas Hall NFL. He is host of the Friday morning show, Legends of Mile High podcast. So Scott, Thomas, and I will be rocking next Saturday. Nick will be off, so be sure to hit up Nick at Nick Kendell MHH. You'll see those gorgeous pictures he's always taking and sharing of nature and Broncos country. Be good to each other. Enjoy your weekend, and let's ride.